but I never thought of myself, as a writer until when I was going to Hofstra University on Long Island, and I had a creative writing class, if I could be brief. And the professor said we had to share our stories, and we had to read a bit of our short stories to the class. Everybody had a chance to read it. And I had written a piece over about a 1 week period called War at a Glance. And it was later to become the first chapter of Born on the 4th of July. When I'm wounded in the war, that's how the 4th of July begins. Actually, the very first line, the very first page, when I'm hit and shot through the front of my foot, the bullet blew out the back of my heel and shot through the chest, the lung, collapsed my lung and cut my spine in half. And from that moment forward, I was never to walk again, but never to feel anything. But so you know, it. What I did was I wrote this story, War at a Glance, and the professor said, "Mr. Kovic, would you please? I'd like to meet you in my office." And I thought I had done something wrong. I was always assuming I'd made another mistake. Maybe the spelling, whatever the grammar. And I went into the office, and she said, have you ever thought of writing a book? And that's really one of the first time I recognized that somebody was seeing me as someone could actually write and write something effective and something that perhaps had a lasting quality to it. And so I was really moved by that. I was writing on a $42 manual typewriter that I bought at Sears and Roebuck at $42, 500 blank sheets of paper, in the dream of writing my first book. I was going to, and I had all those things in the back of my mind. I had one that I had been encouraged by the professor. I had won that story telling the short story contest, even though they took away all my money for not returning the books. But by then, I really began to believe that maybe I wanted to write a book. I had a sense that there were other people around me in the because by then I had joined the Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and I was meeting a lot of influential people, people who had written books, people who were very successful authors and writers, and I I was being in. I thought, well, maybe I could do that. I felt I wanted to do something other than just to be a wounded veteran for the rest of my life. And with all respect to those who have to live with these wounds for the rest of their life, but I felt that I had something inside of me, something special, and I wanted to give something back. I wanted to, and I've felt that passionately and strongly ever since. And once I realized I did have something, once that book came out and it made the front page of the Sunday New York Times book review, and they had a second review that following Monday after that Sunday. That Sunday review, they actually said I had written a book that was a classic, and this gave me a great deal of confidence. I really respect what Tom Cruise and Oliver Stone did with Born on the 4th of July. I think that I think you should give a great amount of credit to Oliver Stone for not only 4th of July, for a lot of his work, for his honesty and his truth and the courage to share with the American people what these experiences are really like, whether it's Wall Street or the war itself. And he was wounded. Oliver was wounded in the war. He's a Vietnam veteran as well. So the bottom line would have to be that we were both in combat. We were both in Vietnam. We both sustained wounds. Mine perhaps a little bit more profound than Oliver's, but nonetheless, we were in dangerous situations, and so we had that bond, that bond that every Vietnam veteran did. I'm sure your brother feels as well. There aren't many average citizens that understand that intensity and that life and death situation, and to be amongst other veterans who were in those places, you feel almost an immediate sense of comfort and safety, and that you're in an environment you don't have to be afraid of. I wanted to share that in A Dangerous Country, an American Elegy, an elegy being, a lament for what once was and is no more, in many ways. I was thinking this morning as I was watching the news, I was thinking how ironic the title of this book so fits the moment in time, historically speaking, that we're in right now. A dangerous country, an American elegy. Where is our country? Are we going to have a democracy, or what's going to happen to this country? Are we about to lose our democracy? I mean, everything is. It is. There's a sense of not only domestically but internationally. This is a dangerous time. Have we been in dangerous times before? Yes, of course. I'm very aware of the '60s. I'm very aware of uh, the revolutionary nature of the '60s. I mean, the country was being ripped apart. Talk about polarization. The country was extremely polarized, but it was polarized during the Civil War as well. So we've gone through these things before, and I think as Americans and as a country, we can rise above this time. We can move through it, but I think we're entering a very difficult, potentially dark period of time in the country. But I do see bright days ahead. I do see hope. If I'm thinking of Franklin Roosevelt talked about. I think he gave a speech near the end of his life, and he talked about despite the catastrophe uh, and World War II, it was a great catastrophe. Millions of people were killed. That he still believed in what was the word? He still believed that we were moving on an upward curve as citizens, as human beings in this world, and that there was every reason to hope. And despite the truth that I write in these books, I want people to know that I'm hopeful. I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so appreciative of the fact that I made it and I'm still here. 56 years in this wheelchair, paralyzed from my mid chest down. I mean, the days, the nights. Do I used to think back to how did I ever, and I do feel so blessed, so grateful to be here to be speaking with you right now, and to have another book out and to be dreaming of another one after that.